Welcome to this. We're going to talk today about how to master Facebook ads. And really we're going to get to 4 big things. Number 1, the hacks that you're doing right now and why they might not work, why they probably aren't working, and why if they did work, you probably wouldn't be here right now. Number 2, we're going to get down to measurement. You're measuring your results wrong. Number 3, creative testing. You are testing your ads wrong. And number 4, process and systems. What you need, a protocol for success. Now let's get down to it. By the way, if you like all of this stuff, please go ahead and follow me. I really appreciate it. Ask any questions that you might have as a comment here, and I will definitely make sure to get back to you. DM me if you want more information. Let's get into it. So number 1, hacks don't work. Now the reason why hacks are really popular is 1, really, let's say, confident and very inspiring individuals who aren't very good at advertising are really solid at selling get-rich-quick schemes to make you feel good about short-term results that might make your ad account look positive today. But the honest truth is these things aren't sustainable because they're built on short-term wins. We see this all the time with cost caps or with interest groups or with lookalikes or with some sort of bidding model thing or trying to do 20 things or duplicating ad accounts or ad sets or trying to run 5 different pixels or running fake traffic or trying to run a traffic campaign to an engagement campaign to eventually trying to do some sort of retargeting on a conversion effort. These things don't work because ultimately they're not built for long-term success. And if you want long-term success, if you really want to truly scale your business and have next year be 3 times, 5 times, 10 times bigger than what you're doing right now, you can't build that on short-term things that make you have to start over every week, every month, every couple of days. If you've been struggling trying to do that stuff, the reason that Facebook isn't working for you is because you're not trying to do what Facebook is asking. And honestly, a lot of these very charismatic people have been giving this really bad advice for a very long time. And because they were really popular and because it does work for a week or for a month or for a few days, people get very excited about it. And what happens is they get really excited about it. They say all the wonderful things that happen. And then a week later or a month later when their entire account fails and they're chasing for the next thing, they never write back and say, well, the reason I struggled was because I went for a short-term win. Ultimately, you can't get rich trying to play the lottery. You can try to get a short con on a lot of people, but eventually you're going to run out of opportunity. So instead of trying to hack Facebook, instead of trying to get everything you can to maximize a few dollars today, let's focus on 3 months from now, 1 year from now, when your absolute worst day is 10 times your best day today. That should be our goal. That is the thing that Facebook is designed to do. Facebook is a machine learning platform. What are you teaching it with every dollar? Or are you trying to teach it something new every couple of weeks and then struggling and fearful and upset when it's not good at its job? Ultimately, it's like an employee. And if you fire your employee every couple of weeks, trying a new ad account or a new ad set or a new bidding model, turning off the campaign, you have to start that learning all over again. Do you really think your business is going to be successful? When you have to fire and rehire and retrain over and over again, what does that really mean? It really means that none of those things work. Now, there's a big difference between the people that are selling short-term wins and the people that are generating really big results. And it comes down to the 3 big things that we're about to talk about. Now, number 1 that I want to get right before we get there is that Facebook is an optimized CPM platform, which means it prioritizes the end user experience. If you are focusing on trying to extract as much money from people as possible, what you are inherently doing is disrespecting the majority of the people that you're reaching. Ultimately, Facebook's business model is, can we get people to join the platform, stay on the platform, log into their apps all the time, and be happy about it? If your content and your ads are directly designed to, 1, smash a whole bunch of people with advertising because you're heavily retargeting them all the time, or 2, try to get them to buy all of the time, which ultimately creates an ad that nobody wants to see in their feed, then you're going to pay higher and higher CPMs, and you're going to see worse and worse performance. That is ultimately the reason why you're not truly scaling your business. Right? I see people like this all the time in my Facebook Ads MBA program that can't get past 200-300 a day, can't get past 1,000. And there's a reason why, for instance, my clothing brand that I run, we went from 5,000 a day to 20,000 a day in the last 100 days when Facebook is apparently broken and nothing works and everything's completely unreliable because we're not relying on hacks. We're building long-term business success. So that in mind, let's get down to the 3 things that you really need to understand. Number 1, you're measuring your results wrong. The only 3 metrics that actually matter when you're trying to make money is how much money did you spend, how many sales did you get, and how much revenue did you get from it. Ultimately, every purchase that occurs in your store is an opportunity to get a journey of a customer to their lifetime value. What's most important is getting as many of these journeys as possible. So instead of trying to measure for ROAS or clicks or CTR or CPM or any of these other things that don't actually generate money and actually try to get you to prioritize a bad user experience instead of a good one, every time you make an effort to do that, you're inhibiting the ability of getting more and more customers that are higher and higher quality that ultimately let you get a better and better lifetime value in LTV. Your Facebook ad account won't scale your business reliably. A good business will allow you to scale your spend. And that's the thinking that you need to be focusing on. And ultimately, it's not about how much credit Facebook gets today. It's not about attribution. Attribution is a sales pitch by big ad vending companies like Google and Facebook and TikTok and everybody else. How do they get credit for a sale so that you give them more money? But does that really matter? And my point to that is what matters really is how much money did your Shopify show you today? How much money is your ClickFunnels? What does your cash register show at the end of the day? How many transactions? And what really matters is, can you make it with a really high confidence that the more money you spend in Facebook, the more money you get in your store? And more importantly, when you spend more money in Facebook, you get more money than you spent in the rest of your store. And a lot of times what this means is you are starting to get more and more people who look more and more similar so that you can test their journey over and over again. And then you can ultimately get that customer to be happy and come back and buy a second, a third, a fourth time. And for those of you that say, well, I have a store and a product that I can only sell one product to one customer all the time. I understand. I've been there. The number one inhibition to your massive scale is the fact that you're not selling somebody twice. If you can get somebody to spend 2-3 times as much money, it means that you can spend more and more money to acquire customers. And then ultimately, the most important thing is the more money you can spend, the less efficient you can spend money on Facebook, the more customers you're going to acquire. Remember, ROAS is a lie. It doesn't matter. What matters most is CPA and ultimately something we call incremental lift, which is a very big concept. I'm not going to dive into it right now. There's a bunch of videos on my YouTube about that. And if you have more questions, please feel free to ask them. So what we need to do is look at what we call ecosystem ROAS. What happens when I spend more money on Facebook to the rest of my business? And where inside of my Facebook account, when I spend more money, creates a good effect? And when do I spend more money, does it create a bad effect? So many times I see people trying to smash as much money into retargeting and their Facebook account looks good, but they're not growing their business. And ultimately that's because instead of trying to get more and more people to your store to create more and more opportunities for new journeys to an LTV, they're trying to make the Facebook ROAS number strong. So you're spending more money to make less money. You're trying to make Facebook look good instead of growing your business. And ultimately, half these people might have bought anyway. And that's why you have email. That's why you have search. That's why you try to make a good quality product. So maybe you don't land every single sale. But if you miss a couple of sales, but you get 20, 30, 40% of people to come back and buy a second time, who cares? Scaling your business allows you to spend more money. Second thing, you're testing creative wrong. If you are building a bunch of ads and trying to spend a whole bunch of money against them, what you are doing is trying to see what gets lucky. How many times have you launched 10 ads and seen something do really well in 3 days? So you scale it to the moon and then it stops working. The reason it stops working is because it was never actually good in the first place. Maybe it had a few good days, but would you hand the keys to your business over to a person because they had a good third day on the job? Of course not. Well, the goal here is we need to have a collection of ads. 4 or 5 ads that we can really rely on that are proven, solid, consistent salespeople and advocates for your brand. And instead of trying to build a whole bunch of ads and see where Facebook spends its money and trying to capitalize on that, what we need to do is use dynamic creatives. And don't jack it up with 10 headlines and 20 primary texts and 5 different images. That is going to waste your time and money. Keep the total number of variations down to less than 20. Every single choice should be binary and high confidence. Did this work? Yes or no? If every single choice you need to make in your business is a yes or no choice, was it good or was it bad? It makes it very, very easy for you to be able to make high confidence decisions. The more often you can make good decisions, the more good choices you give Facebook to make with your money. And ultimately, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So every time you give Facebook a new ad, the number one focus here isn't to spend all of your money on it. When you have a winner, what you want to do is to try to remove the worst choice. Just improve the absolute worst choice you have. If you have 5 ads, and one of them is the best, and there's a slew of other ones, and one of them is the worst, it's still good, but it's the one that's getting the least amount of spend, and it's the least efficient. And you test for a new winner, what you do is you drop in that new winner, and you just get rid of the worst one. If you can improve your average, then you're going to constantly get better. If every 2 or 3 weeks, you're getting a better option than your absolute worst choice, then every 2 or 3 weeks, your system is going to continue to improve. Consistent improvement is very doable and something that is consistent. 2% every week is 300% after a year. If you want to triple your business, focus on week over week, month over month gains. And ultimately, you can do all of this inside of one campaign, where you have your winners in one ad set, and then you're testing 1 or maybe 2 angles at a time in other DCTs within that ad set at broad with no exclusions using CBO, and you let the best ad get the spend. Do you really want every ad to get a fair chance, or do you want the best ad to get the most amount of money as fast as possible? Spend is a meritocracy. You don't need everything to get a fair chance. If somebody is stealing from you, do you want to give them as much of a chance as somebody else that is giving you $10 for every dollar you give them? Of course not. So stop running your ads like that. And the third most important thing that we need to cover is system and process, a protocol for success. Most of the people that join my Facebook Ads MBA program are my students or my consulting clients that I've worked with. And now mind you, I've worked with people for nearly a decade, and my students and clients have driven over $1 billion in revenue. The people that struggle the most don't have documentation and system and process in line. The ad agencies that I work with that have trouble landing new clients can't show a potential client, this is my process, this is my documentation, this is how I'm going to take you from where you are right now to a place of success. They focus on things that don't matter, like we're going to do audiences and we really know our numbers and maybe we're really good at creative. Those are nice things. But everybody's saying the same thing. If you instead say, I have a 9-week process, and I'm going to bring you through every week, we're going to go step 1, step 2, step 3, and we are going to be in a better place after 2 months. On our way to 3 months, we are going to continually grow, and I'm going to pay for myself along that way. Then every week when you talk to your client, it is a, hey, how are we on that path? Well, we are doing what we said we did. We're ahead of schedule, a little behind. This is the 1 or 2 things that we're going to do. You have a binary choice. Do you want to take path A or path B? And then your client says, well, we really feel good about B. Awesome. We're going to go with that. Ultimately, if you can get everything down to A or B choice, you're going to have a really easy time managing everything. And the more you do it, the better you are going to get at the choices that you present, the decisions that you try to make. So we have to log our choices. We have to document our testing. We have to come up with an idea of what tests are actually worth it. Is it actually worth it for you to test 3 things right now, like a landing page test with creative and an audience? No. Because when you test your creative, you're going to attract different types of people. And then you're testing your audience. So first off, you shouldn't be using audiences at all anyway. Broad with no exclusions because the ads do the targeting. But if you're testing audiences, now you're changing the quality of people that come in. So if you're changing the type of people and the quality of people, and then you're doing a landing page test to say, well, which one converts people better? What type of people are you actually running that test on? The normal person that comes all the time, or some new type of person from some other different quality? These aren't scalable solutions. When you run multiple tests against each other and you win, why did you win? The honest truth is you have no idea. And if you don't have any idea why you won, then you can't replicate your success. So you need a system and a process, a timeline and documentation to understand what moves you're making, what tests you're going to run, what tests are actually worth running versus one just make you feel smart. What is the budget and the timeline for these things? Because ultimately, Facebook is an intent creation device and a market research tool. And when you apply the scientific method to it, it's not a matter of if you're going to be successful. It is a matter of when you are going to be successful. And if every week, every 2 weeks, every month, you're getting better and better and better, ultimately, it's not a chance of trying to start over again and try the next hack and all of these other things that are a waste of time. It becomes a matter of enjoying your life. Because you really only need to log into Facebook 2-3 times a week to check up on your test or launch something new. Maybe pull reporting once a week because it doesn't really matter, because if the more choices you make to try to micromanage your employees, because Facebook is working hard for you so that you don't have to, the worse your results are going to be, the more unstable your results are going to be. How many of you have seen regularly inconsistent data, inconsistent performance, and your choice has been to make a lot of moves? And what happens every time you make those moves is you make it harder for Facebook to deliver you consistent performance that's desirable. You're making the problem worse by trying to solve it the wrong way. And that's nothing against you. You just haven't been taught the right way of doing things, because the most popular ideas come from, honestly, the least qualified people. So with all that being said, I hope this is helpful. If you want more advice on this stuff, I'm doing a webinar at apply.facebookdisruptor.com. It is an hour-long version of this exact thing, where we will get into Q&A. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff, and we can offer you more solutions after that. Plus, you'll get a free ebook bundle on the Scrum Doc, so you'll actually be able to understand how to track results, see what's actually working, identify your liabilities and your assets as a business, and ultimately get that week over week better and better and better results that's going to fundamentally change the future of your business. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I'm super excited to see more and more and more of you. Let me know if there's anything else I can cover for you, any lessons that you would like to have, any questions that you want answered. Again, if you like this stuff, please follow, please subscribe. If you have questions, please reply or DM me. And if you want more information, go to apply.facebookdisruptor.com. I'm doing another webinar. It's free to sign up. It's full of an hour of this type of actionable information for you to walk away knowing what you're doing wrong, what you need to do to make it better, how to get it done, and the why plus practical application for that knowledge, so that you can step away and immediately make your business better. I'm not here to waste your time, and I know that you have had your time and money wasted by so many other people. So with that being said, it's Monday. I hope you're having a great day. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Tell a loved one that you love them. Until next time, I'll see you on the internet.